Are y'all ready to get this started?
Let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Let's get it. Here we go.
Sit your ass down and get ready for the next episode of the Urban Green Room. The Urban Green Room. With your host, my girl A.A. and that dude D. Lewis.
Hey everyone, it's your girl A.A.
What's up, world? It's your man D. Lewis.
And welcome to another episode of the Urban Green Room podcast. And boy, do we have an episode for you. So if you didn't know by now, like, not only are we true New Yorkers in the sense that we love old school hip hop, but everything about the culture, like, you name it, we love it. And tonight, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about music, hip hop, its influence, how we feel about today's music and the contributions that, you know, some of the greats have made that have an impact on everything that we see happening in the world today. So, like, before we even get started, I gotta say, like, I'm digging the shirts. I'm digging the references. I saw Wu-Tang. I saw Bronx, and I'm representing. I got Brooklyn on. So if that's not a vibe, it's definitely, you know, where we at tonight. So welcome back, fan favorite Walter Jennings. Like, it wouldn't be an episode without you tonight, Walt. So welcome back.
I appreciate that, y'all. What's going on, Melodious, Miss A.A.? Yeah. Gotta have me if it's hip hop for sure. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome. And then we have a newcomer to the Urban Green Room podcast. And, like, I feel blessed. One, because I went to school with this gentleman. Two, because he served this country with honors, done a career in the military. He's a family man. He's a Buffalo native. He is, I don't even know how to describe it, but when I think of graffiti, like, now all I think of is him and his artwork. So if you don't know him from around Buffalo and you haven't seen any of his artwork, like, true master of his craft, and a true hip hop fan since way back when, and I'm talking 1980 something. So what, we're dating ourselves. But I got to welcome to the podcast my boy Vinny. Welcome, Vinny.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Vinny.
it. Just hanging out here in Buffalo and trying to, you know, put the city on my back in the graffiti world.
What up, Vinny?
You doing it, Vinny. And, like, so we just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, check his
Vinny,
work
yes,
out, because I've seen some of his work and it's dope as fuck. So, yeah, all his information and all that is definitely going to be on our website, urbangreenroom.net. So
yeah, we're
talking
started.
hip hop. We're talking hip hop. So hold on. First off,
go ahead.
I want to just let me shout out to all of our listeners, all of our viewers. We want to thank y'all for y'all continued support. And yeah, let's keep it rolling. Like it, subscribe, and be the first to see when the new videos drop. But we talking hip hop today, so I want to start a little different.
Go ahead.
Because I think we're going to have some different perspectives. And why don't we just go around and maybe explain to the listeners and the viewers how we feel about hip hop and what we actually think hip hop is. So I'll set it off, right? So I think over time, you know, two words or two terms, hip hop and rap, have been used kind of interchangeably. And I don't consider them the same. You know, in my opinion, hip hop is not something that you do. You know, hip hop, in my opinion, and how I feel about it, is a culture. You know what I mean? So I'm putting hip hop up here like the umbrella. You know what I'm saying? This is hip hop. It is a culture that, you know, black and brown folks, we come up with this in the late 70s. Now, out of this culture, we kind of birthed, right? We got music. So that's the rap. That's rap music right there. Then we also birthed a new art form. That's graffiti. It also birthed new dancing, break dancing, right? So, and then you can go to fashion and birth, B-boy, B-girl stuff. So you can go on and on with the list of things that come out of hip hop, especially now, where you can't go anywhere without seeing hip hop undertones and references. It's selling everything. We're the number one. Rap is the number one music genre right now. So hip hop is everywhere in the world, but I think it's all those things collectively that make hip hop. And I think, people in my mind kind of get the music and just say the music is hip hop when it's actually it started out a cultural phenomenon and grew into one of the largest cultural movements of our modern time, in my opinion. So that's how I feel about hip hop, and that's what I think it is. I'm interested to hear what everybody else thinks hip hop is.
Vinny, what do you interpret hip hop to be?
I've kind of grown to take hip hop as not just a culture but a movement. Daryl talked about the hip hop birthing these things, but in truthfulness, the graffiti art has existed, back to the caveman days. When they would write on the walls in the caves or put their hand up and spit the ink over the top of it to leave their mark on the wall. And the modern day graffiti tagging and stuff like that started in the 60s. So hip hop gave it a vehicle, and then the vehicle is the movement. And all the graffiti, the breakdance, and the DJ and the MC, and all of those, that's your 4 seats in the car. That's your move. Everybody get in. It's going. And that's the way I've kind of looked at the culture is it's a vehicle, and it's where it's steered is the culture comes with it, and it's we talk about now, and that's where I feel like the culture right now is, like Daryl said, it's kind of misrepresented because it's represented by one entity of that of that culture, instead of people barely look to graffiti anymore. They barely look to the b-boys anymore, or sometimes even the DJs get overlooked now. And but they're still there. Like, you still have the Red Bull breakdancing championships every year. You still have, I go to graffiti exhibitions all over the United States. There's still, freestyle battles are still big online. So everything's still there. It's just it seemed like the rap part has been pushed into the forefront as the representative. And to be completely honest, like right now, it's not being represented the way it should.
Yeah, we're going to get into that for sure. I think we will certainly evolve there.
I don't want to,
absolutely. But I
don't want to get too
aggressive
about it, but that's
right now.
Somebody's steering in the wrong direction.
Facts. Good looking, Vinny. Yeah, that was thanks for the educational piece of that as well. No doubt. Liz. What up, B?
Hip hop for me is, fuck it, it's my religion, man. Like, it's a way of life for me. Like, it's, growing up in the hood and everything, the way that we did, that's what actually kept me out of, prison or worse. I would sit down and throw, well, back then it was LL. I would throw Cool J in the cassette deck and just listen to him for hours and hours and hours. But I couldn't have my radio way past 10 because Dukes wasn't having that shit. But you know what I mean? I just had the headphones on and lay on the couch for hours, and then Rakim followed that, and I wanted to be that dude, like switch my whole demeanor up. That was when that, because LL was all rah, and then Rock came with the smooth shit, and I'm like, oh man, like, okay, you know, and then it was just Ghost after that. So yeah, hip hop is, I don't care what nobody say, like, for me, it, you know, it means a whole lot. I got rap lyrics tatted on my body as we speak. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, but that shit is that deep to me. So, yeah, it's a way of life for me personally.
I gotta add to that, to Walter's the tattoo lyrics on your body. The same with me. I got spray cans. My tag is tattooed on me. You know, it's,
see, you ain't got to do that, Vinny, man. See, we can see your tats and shit. Mine just looked like somebody burnt me or something.
We'll blame my Irish mom for that one.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that, man. I'd be tatted up for real. That shit. But yeah, I get it.
Got anything you want to add, Mama?
Hip hop for me was always a vibe. It was that feeling I got, whether it was the music I was listening to, the conversations like we used to have on the block, or if it was the way that I dressed. It was everything. It was that feeling, that vibe. Definitely a movement, because we've seen the progression of it and what's come out of it, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it was just that feeling you got. And for me, it made me feel safe. It still makes me feel safe. I think about me as a woman and the women influencers that were prevalent in the culture and where they're at today, and the model that they set for, you know, generations to come. It was so empowering. Like, the first time I heard a female rapper spit some lyrics, and or the first time you see one of us on a runway rocking clothes that I wanted to wear, like that feeling it invoked in me, like it had no boundaries. And I think that's the part about hip hop that I love so much, is that it started with us. It started in the hoods, and then it's expanded. And I can't say that I agree with the way that people interpret it today and how they use it, you know, commercially to sell certain things. But it started so humble. And I always, you know, I go back to the fact that people said it wouldn't last. Like, it was junk music. It was a junk culture. Like, no one's ever going to dress like that. That art won't sell. Like, it's just a fad. And here we are many years later, you know, 50, 60 years later, and it's still relevant. In fact, it's more relevant today than where it was in its humble beginning. And we still hold on to that beginning because that's the influence. Like, today, the lyrics and the music and the art and the dress, it just keeps repeating itself years later. And it's still giving us that same vibe. So I love that part about it, that it makes me feel, you know, any kind of feeling. It takes me there. And I love that about the culture.
X. Damn. So hip hop, for those who don't know, is life. You know, however you want to define that around your life, if you grew up, you know, in our generation, it is just the way your life evolved. I mean, everything was about hip hop. So
I got to get into it.
Go ahead,
I got to get into it.
Let's
I
get
want to
into
know, like, let's go music.
Oh,
So
shit.
we going back because for me, nothing screams hip hop better than old school rap.
No doubt.
So who is your favorite? I want to start there. Who's your favorite rapper of all time? Let's go there. I want to hear why. Take me there. Vinny, let's start with you. Who's your favorite rapper or rap group of all time?
Always been KRS-One. KRS-One just from an educational standpoint, like that's his job. It just seems like he took that upon himself from day one to educate everybody, and to teach the culture, not just about the MC and everything. And he's still to this day, he's lecturing now and talking about hip hop and its effect on culture and everything. And I just always thought that his lyrical presentation, his metaphors, his confidence. I mean, the confidence itself. It made me want to follow everything he said and memorize lyrics. And it just to this day, listening to him. And then a close second is well, it's not an individual but a group, Tribe Called Quest, is my I can put everything in my life to a Tribe Called Quest track. Every moment of my life, I can attribute it to a Tribe Called Quest track.
We all shaking our heads like yes to both of them, because I think when I first heard KRS-One, like my brother stole a cassette player from school. He had done a project and he never gave a cassette player back. And he would play KRS-One on this stupid cassette player in his room that said, like, I don't know, School 82 or whatever school it was. He played it back to back. I swore he was going to wear that tape out. But everything KRS spit, like a song come on, the beat comes on, and I know it. And like, same for Tribe. What about you? Who's your favorite?
And KRS-One was a graffiti artist too.
Yes, I do remember that. What about you?
So we talking like old school artists or just favorite rap artists, period?
Period. All time, period. Who would you lay it down for? Like, give me your favorite. Just give me who your favorite is.
God, that's so hard. Okay, so I'm torn. I'm torn between Rakim for obvious reasons, but that Illmatic though.
Yeah.
When Nas dropped that shit, like, your husband was with me, or we was together like every day listening to that jump, sticking our shell toes out the window of my mom's tempo and shit. Like, we was doing that. And Illmatic was, Rakim is my favorite artist though. I mean, just because if it wasn't for him, we'd still be hibbity hopping all over the place. But he took the braggadociousness, if that's even a word, of the game and turned it into an art form. He made it poetic. He made it flavorful. You know what I mean? And was raw. Still talk this shit, would chew your ass up, man. 7 MCs put him in a line. And I'm a shit talking dude. So I like when people talk slick, when they talk greasy. And that was, yeah, Yeah, Rakim, not by far, but yeah, I'd have to say the God is my favorite for sure.
See, what about you?
Hoping he went with Nas, the God MC. Rakim, when I first heard this dude on BNY, I'm dating myself for sure, but it was when he was first kind of dropping. And it was like, who the fuck is I never heard somebody flow like that. So he definitely leveled up the entire MC game. You know what I mean? It was
He was ahead of his time.
He was so far ahead of his time. Like the way he spit, like his cadence was just different. Everything about this dude flow, his look was different. He taught actually as well. And he made it a point to. Now, back then, at least in the area kind of where I grew up in, it you know, the Islam wasn't really that big at that time. But he was teaching and wanted to make it a point to teach. He was saying so much stuff that I didn't know. I'm like, what does that mean? And that's what made a great MC to me. Like, I want to have to listen to your shit more than once to know what you're talking about. And I can listen to Rakim today and still pick up on, oh shit, like, because now I'm a little older, I'm much more wiser, I'm more worldly. You know, I'm like, oh shit, this nigga was talking about that in 86? Okay. Like, so yeah, Rasma definitely my favorite. He changed the whole game. And he just made dudes have to really come with it. And that's why I love that dude so much. So, and if you ask most MCs out there in the world today who their favorite is, they're going to go with the God MC. Because he made it so much more fun. And one more thing, and then I'm done with Ra. Nobody ever came at him. Ever. Never really heard nobody dissing Ra. No. But yeah, so he would be my favorite. My favorite group of all time is I gotta go with Tribe. For sure, I'll go with Tribe.
You can't go with nobody. You can't go with nobody else but Tribe. You can't.
Me personally?
Right.
Because he played the hell out of Tribe, don't he?
Yeah.
Like every single
I'm right there with you,
trip. I know exactly what we listening to.
Right.
So, okay. So for me, I have definitely two.
How you go making your own rules and shit?
No, I have two. Literally, because
she a woman. She don't make her own rules, man.
Well, yeah. So definitely Rakim. I always thought he was gonna be my husband. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, he was the first time I heard I Ain't No Joke, I got the pen and pad out and I wrote the lyrics down. I stopped the cassette every couple words to write it down because I wanted to know what he was saying. Like, he wasn't no joke. I wanted to know who he was. Like, the feeling, the beat, everything about him. Like, I loved to this day. I think we have all of his albums. Listen to it, still love it. There are songs on the Ninth Seal that I will pump all day long when I'm in that vibe, and then go back to stuff from 1999. Like, or yeah, 99, 91, 90, whatever. I will go back to every single one of his albums and play the hell out of it. So, love Rakim, yes, would have married him. Second, so for those of you who don't know, I wrote a whole series called the 716, influenced by the music of the early 90s or late 80s all the way into 2000s. And there is one person who repeatedly showed up in each and every book. And I knew exactly when I was going to put his song in. I knew exactly, which character, evoked the feelings behind his lyrics. Like, really, like when he came to town, I wanted D, because D's in school for his degree, wanted D literally to say, fuck it to school, go to this concert with me. I got awesome seats and it's going to be like the concert, like, because he had never seen him before. This is like my third time seeing him. I was like, yes, I'm a Nas fan. Die hard Nas. Illmatic, all of them. When the first time, like, this is how much I love him. He's in my book. I think he has the most songs in the book that I can reference. And I guarantee you there are probably about 6 songs per book. And when you think about that, that's a lot of music. So when I think about Nas, this is how I knew he was still dope. Because years later, when One Mic came out, when I saw that video, I was like, he still got it. Like, I got that feeling again that hip hop could survive. Rap wasn't going down the tubes. We still had somebody who had some lyrical content. I just love him. So when that video came out, and we're talking years into his career, that video came out, it meant everything to me. Like, my heart beat again because I felt like for so long, musically, hip hop was drifting in a direction that I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then that song came out and it made me feel like it was Illmatic all over again. So for me, it's going to be Nas and Rakim, hands down.
That reminds me, just like 2 days ago, I got XM in my truck and I listened to Rock the Bells all day long. And I Know I Can came on. And I was like, this song could come out right now and be completely relevant and completely like, would just be, it would just say everything that needs to be said even right now. And it's like, I was kind of mad that I was listening to it and my kids weren't in the car. Like my kid, because, the kids singing the hook on that song. I was like, my kids should hear this, and, because, my kids, it's funny, my kids listen to what I listen to because they're in the car with me. So it's like, sometimes I hear them singing along to stuff and I'm like, maybe that's not the right song for them to be singing along to,
There it is.
Yeah. I don't want them singing Trick Daddy, in the back with the kids singing in it. But, but that's like you said, Nas can, he's still relevant. We saw him last summer at Canal Side, and he sold out. So it's when it's like when you need that hope, when you need that MC hope, like he's there still, that you can go listen back to him and same with Walter with Rakim. I saw Rakim recently on an interview and he just like did a quick 8 bars and I was like, what? Like, when, he just clowned half everybody that's out right now, just sitting there. But yeah, Nas is definitely the Illmatic album is probably right there at the greatest album ever made, and if you look at the producers on the album, you know why.
Yes.
According to Rolling Stone, it's the top 10 album any genre. It's in the top 10. Yeah. Illmatic is that shit was
that joint hit and
that shit was earth-shattering. But I'm just gonna make me sound like an asshole, but I wasn't feeling that I Know I Can shit. Nas made me mad with that one, man. He made me mad with that one, man. I was like, come on, man. I don't want to hear that from you.
That was what was so great.
I mean, but that's what he, huh?
I said that's what was so great about it. You was either gonna love it or you were going to hate it because it wasn't his traditional sound. You know what I mean? I thought it showed growth.
I didn't rock with it like I'm going to be bumping it, you know, in the whip or like that. But I appreciated it because he that's his range. I mean, if there's somebody that's close to Rod when it comes to range and topics and all that other stuff, that he can just spit anything. And that's why I fucks with Nas still, always. Like, even today, if you ask me who's the best rapper out there right now, I'm saying Nas. Because his breath is just, you know what I mean? That's active, I should say. Now, you know, of course, my greatest of all time, my GOAT is definitely Rakim. Nas is a close second. He can spit it with anybody. I don't give a fuck who you are. Even through the beef shit. So if you want to get into that, we can get into that. But
I don't want to talk about the beef yet. Listen, what I do want to know though is who is the biggest surprise. So when we think of like old school hip hop, who are those surprise elements that you bring to the table? Like when I say surprise, I think third base. You know what I mean? Those surprise elements that had an impact on hip hop, and like you couldn't see or imagine hip hop without them. Like it just wouldn't be the same. Like I got a couple that to me I always think back and go, wow, because that was a turning point in hip hop, or they didn't get enough credit, but what they did was awesome to the movement.
EPMD.
So who are those elements of surprise? Who did you say?
EPMD.
Yes, EPMD.
Facts.
And why EPMD?
Why? Yeah. Why EPMD? I mean, because they came in, they kicked the door in, kind of, sort of.
But at the same time, there was a lot of big people out at the same time as them, and it almost was like as a team they had to, push their way in. But then when they split up, they were still making individually fire music. I mean, I just heard on Rock the Bells, Eric Sermon's got My 300, and it's not like a lyrical juggernaut song, but it's a good track for now, that is gives you that little bit of an old school vibe, but at the same time it's made to fit now and be relevant now. But I mean, sadly, it's only being played on Rock the Bells. That's another problem with the people that we're talking about is, people can put out dope music now, and it's not even hitting the radios. It's not even, it's not competing with, what the music is out now, even though people like us are sitting there listening to it and like, man, this is the best song I heard in 20 years or whatever, but it's not breaking that, the mainstream like hip hop used to be, where the big names were the mainstream.
Because I got
to where now, like that. These guys that used to be mainstream, they're underground by accident.
Yes.
Right. So I'm fucking with that, Vinny, on the EPMD. Because they definitely kicked in the door, but they had to. I love their story. I mean, if you think about it, you ain't heard nobody like E. Sherm since E. Sherm, right? They was like, no, ain't nobody gonna listen to you. You got the lisp and you talk too slow, you rap, So, as a group, trying to get put on back then, they couldn't find anybody that would fuck with them. But once they finally did get their chance, it was raps. It was raps. And you cannot have a hip hop discussion, especially around groups, and not talk about EPMD for sure. Fucking with that, Vinny.
What?
Please listen to my demo is rocking in my head right now.
Oh my God.
I can't get that out my head now. God damn.
That is still my favorite. That's my favorite EPMD song of all time. Yeah.
Yeah. You like them chicks singing in the background. that motherfucking lyrics to go is your favorite Tribe one too. with Minnie Riperton in the back.
Close.
That's your MO. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that.
I know.
Tim
I
DeBoy.
can women singing, nigga.
That's my favorite too, D.
I like women singing, nigga. What's wrong with that?
The surprise for me was the native tongue, De La Soul and Jungle Brothers and all them dudes. Like, I was like, these motherfuckers is weird and potholes in my lawn, and I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? It was way above my head. I just wanted the shit talk, and I'm better than you. But then when they came with that style and I got into it, I was like, whoa, okay, so that's where it's coming from, Black Sheep. You know, that whole movement, like Leaders of the New. Yeah, the whole native tongue thing. That was a surprise for me because they was just, you know, wearing the same shit they wore to high school. It wasn't about no, you know, track suits and gold chains and nothing. They was just going out there flowing. So that's what I liked about it, even though, you know, at the time it was above my head. But, you know, yeah, I got into it.
What's cool about De La is they didn't like grow up in a hood. They grew up in a suburb. So they brought a different perspective to the hip hop movement at the time that was kind of, you know, everybody was talking hood stuff, and it was like, okay, well, here's, you know, somebody coming in talking about more about, you know, your mind and, you know, taking care of yourself and, you know, just a different perspective.
Right.
You know, and it was kind of like the flip side to Tribe. You know, Tribe was like especially with Fife, more, you know, street, more about inner city New York, about the boroughs and everything. And then, you know, you hear De La Soul and it's like the same vibe, but a different content. So it was, you know, that's what was cool about it.
Yeah, it was definitely an acquired taste for me because when it first came out, I'm like, man, I don't know what the fuck is these dudes talking about, but
the magic number.
That's actually the first Hater song, you know, Potholes in My Lawn. That's the first Hater song. Hey, haters, fuck y'all. Yeah. So yeah, you know, I get it.
Yeah, about biting, everybody biting lyrics.
So,
I don't know. I think I don't know if I can really define that properly at this point in my life. I mean, it was just different back then. You could be yourself, you know, in the rap game. We're going back that far. Like when you was talking about the 80s and even the 90s, there was room for all those kinds of groups. You know what I mean? So I think over time, as, you know, hip or rap music became more mainstream and more money started flowing through the business, I think it narrowed kind of the field of who's getting in and who's not. It's like we lost control. We lost creative control through that process of growing and becoming more dominant culture-wise. But surprise, I mean,
How far is that?
There was so many, huh? Well, we can get into that in a second. We can get into it next if you want.
Okay.
But I would say, man, I'm gonna go a little newer than you guys. I'm gonna go Eminem. I think Eminem was definitely a surprise for me. Yeah, going M.
Because
I didn't think he was dope. Because I didn't like Slim Shady. Honestly, I mean, if I'm being real, I didn't when Slim Shady first came out. When this first video came out, I didn't get it. It was more like it was too silly for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, it just wasn't my bag.
Yeah,
but then
if you got off his mainstream stuff, if you got off the main, you know, like if you listen to I Just Don't Give a Fuck, you listen to that song first before you listen to Slim Shady, You know, like you
Right.
realize in that song that like this dude's lyrics are crazy. Like he's definitely, you know, a lyrical, you know, he's appreciative of lyricism. But like Slim Shady, the song, like that was that time like you were talking about where you had to put out like almost a corny video to catch everybody's attention. And then when people bought your album, they would listen to the other tracks that were, you know, better tracks. There's that little area in there where it was like, you know, like you said, the companies were guiding these people to say, you know what, this is the album you need to put out because everybody's going to like it no matter what. They're just going to like it. And it's like, you know, let them debate this song or this song later, but this song here is going to chart, you know, and that's kind of, you know, where that, I mean, I'm not a huge Eminem fan. Like I'm a fan of the first Eminem album. That's what I'm a fan of. There's not too many after that except for the Caterpillar, or the one he just put out, the
Rap
His
God.
latest.
Monster.
His latest. The monster. Yeah.
When that shit come
no,
out?
the one with
It just
the
came
one
out.
with the one
Less
that
than a
passed
year
away.
ago.
It's I can't
I'll have to
not
look
I
it up.
lost the name of the song, but it's the one where he's rapping real fast towards the end of it.
Mhm.
It just came out recently.
Yeah.
I think that's is it Caterpillar or
Not sure the
Godzilla?
name of the album. I think it's
I don't know.
Godzilla.
I'm not familiar with it.
But
I thought
Yeah,
the last
but-
one he did was Rap God.
I mean, so for me, it was M because, like I said, the way he entered, I just wasn't feeling that. But then, as you started
Yeah.
listening to the cat, yo, dude, you know, I was like, damn, this white boy can flow for real. Like he is up there. Like, yeah. So that was my surprise for me personally.
I think at one point, me and you looked at each other and we're like, so he's the best MC out there right now. That's live and active. If we looking at lyrics, hands down, like we gave it to him. And I was just like, wow, because it was such a surprise because I knew that you hated Slim Shady. And I went a little deeper in the message behind, you know, the song for him, and he still wouldn't bite. I think for me, the aha moment, like I've had several throughout, you know, my years of you know, being around. I think the real aha moment for me was NWA. And it was because I think we had been so centered around New York and East Coast that we had no idea what was happening on the other side of this country. Like I didn't know.
Nope.
I didn't know
You're
until
right.
NWA hit the scene, and then I was like, what? Like California? They rapping out there? And not that I didn't think that they were rapping out there. The point being is it was different. We went from having fun to, like, it was a culture shock. It was like we were two different neighborhoods to hearing about street life, the gang life. Like, it was real. And I did not like NWA. Like, when they first came out, couldn't stand them. Couldn't stand a bitch is a bitch. I hated that song. Hated it with a passion. Like, there were so many of their songs that I hated. But let me tell you, I recognized the talent because that song made the book. It did. And I hated that song. So, like, I gave them the credit because they influenced it and ushered in a whole new sound. It opened, I think, the world of hip hop music to other parts of the country and made them feel like, hey, I could contribute. I got talent. We got talent in the South, in the Midwest. Like, everybody felt it. And it was so classic. Like, even today, like, when I listen to their songs, like, I can get into it now. I can appreciate it that much more because it was so different. It was completely different from the party atmosphere that we knew on the East Coast. And then the West Coast, to me, they just ushered in a whole new vibe to the scene. So
you
I'm gonna
didn't
give it to
you
NWA.
you didn't get into Schoolie D and Ice-T before NWA?
I was just getting ready to say that. Schoolie D, Ice-T,
Oh.
Just Ice. I mean,
King
it just
T.
wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, did I listen to them? Yes. Did I get into? Listen, I hated Too Short. Couldn't stand Too Short. Couldn't
Love Short
stand
Dog.
Schoolie D. Could not stand. But now I have a greater appreciation for their songs. And by hate, I don't mean I don't know the lyrics, because I do. Can I rock with them now? Yes. The younger me, when I first heard them, I was not moved. I wouldn't. Let's put it that way.
That's because they're degrading the women. You know?
I wouldn't appreciate them. And that's what makes them so great now, is that I would take them over anything that's playing right now. Like anything old school, I am like, my world is open to everyone. So when I say like wouldn't, I couldn't get into it. I didn't like it. But now I can go back and listen to Schoolie D. I listen to Too Short. There's a couple other people who I wouldn't, that now I really appreciate their sound and the lyrical content and the storytelling behind it.
But that's a good segue. We kind of touched on it kind of every time we answer something. So let me ask y'all this. What do you think, why did the music go in the direction it went, and why do we feel that it is subpar? I guess we'll be putting it lightly, but for the sake of this right now,
can I start this one off?
Go ahead.
Why do we think it's subpar to the music we grew up listening to? Go ahead, Vinny.
I can go ahead. Okay. So I have my own kind of, explanation of this. I think when, if you go back to around 2005, when Soulja Boy came out, if you look at what happened after that, it changed music completely. People started making videos on YouTube and being discovered off of there, rather than the old school way of, hustling your demo tape, playing small venues, all this stuff, all the hard work that you had to put into it to become, somebody big. These people became big instantly. And I think that kind of took a lot of the purity out of hip hop. It took the hustle out of hip hop. It took the, almost the kind of like the soul out of it, because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into a demo, shopped it to everybody and everything like that just to get it played. You got turned down by record companies and turned down by, radio stations and stuff like that. And here's a kid who made a video on YouTube with a loop program that he downloaded off of Napster, and made a beat and went absolutely crazy. Like, everybody loved it. And if you look after that, the music followed suit after that. And before that, like mid 2000s, I was real big into, I used to do the whole Pimp My Ride thing, build custom cars and trucks and stuff like that, and stereo systems. So I was, people were playing T-Pain and, a lot of that Atlanta, a lot of the stuff that came out of Atlanta at the time, Atlanta was hot, real hot at that time. But the music was good. It was good to listen to sit in the truck and listen to it and roll around and listen to it. And it seemed like after that, people found an easier way to get discovered and to make it big. And it made it cheapened it. And also there's no more news in hip hop. Hip hop used to be the news, current events, whatever was going on. There was always an anthem, F the police, fight the power, all them, there was anthems that went past hip hop. They became, number one hits, even though they were really defiant, and those are not really existent right now. You're not hearing, not dissing completely everything's out, but right now everybody's going crazy over WAP. And it's like, that's not the big discussion right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. That's a real big discussion. You see the cheeks on them chicas? That's a real big discussion. Shit. I was with you till you got there.
But those kind of tracks have always existed. You know what I'm saying?
We had ours though. We had ours. Well,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've always existed. I mean, all the way back, Two Live Crew and all them and everything.
Right.
But Two Live Crew got really, really big when they fought the system for the censorship. And, when they did Banned in the USA and all that, they really got under people's skins. And then they became, then people started going back and listening to other Two Live Crew and checking out the videos, Walter, because them videos were was nice back then. I think going back, I think that took a little bit out of it around that time when people figured out a way to make a hit without actually working as hard as people did, before that.
Okay.
I think there's some truth there.
Yeah, it's some there. But there's, like I said, I mean, hey, there's no right or wrong answers here. We're just sharing our particular thoughts
that's just
on the subject.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
see now some
Liz.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I like the whole artist taking control of their destiny. I like that idea, and as opposed to trying to beat down some record label. They looking at you like, who is you and you from where, and like, all right, my bad about that. But that's just why Buffalo is just now starting to get recognized for having spit. And well, New York was different back then. It was a lot of great MCs coming out at that time, and I'm not sure that anybody in Buffalo was fucking with Nas and Jigga and Biggie and all that. But it shouldn't have took no 30 years for somebody out of Buffalo to be an MC. Not at all. So, I appreciate what the young cats is doing and not, having to beg to get in the game. But to me, like, once the money got involved and the money got so big, then, it wasn't about expression anymore. It was about the dollar bill. And that's your boy P. Diddy fault.
Yeah.
Puffy did that, man. That's Puffy fault.
And see, KRS-One, going back to him, he had a thing with Nelly when Nelly came out. And the fans were like trying to get them to battle each other or something, something stupid. But they were trying to get him to battle him. And KRS said straight up, he's like, my last album sold 500,000 copies. Nelly's last album sold 50 million copies. So it doesn't really matter what I say. His fans are going to buy his album regardless. You know, it doesn't matter. It's not like back in the day when you could come at somebody with some lyrics and ruin their career. You know, it's you know, he's got a fan base. He's gonna win. You know,
Right.
because all the fans are gonna look at is the dollar, how much money they're making.
Right.
I think for me, the killer for hip hop or for the musical content today is when the beat became the most important part of the song versus the lyrics. Because if you can bop to it, if you can create a dance to it, then that's a good song. And it took away from the storytelling for me. Like, I loved learning something from artists in the past. And yeah, I'm not knocking the beat because I love the beat too. But what really captured my attention was the lyrical content and then the beat. And now you can have a good beat and they can say the same word 20 times and it's still a good song. You know what I mean? And it has no substance. There's nothing there. It's not going to make me think about it. All it's going to do is make me skin and grin and shake my ass. And that's not what, to me, the culture was about. So while I get it and I admire the hustle, like I'm all for entrepreneurship and get yours, but I think it's cost us in the end. Like right now, I don't see leaders in our musical genre. I just see dollar signs, like you said, Walt. I see dollar signs in a good beat, and I want something more.
I got a gem for you then, AA.
Huh?
I got a gem for you.
What?
Royce the 5'9", the allegory.
Yeah.
Gem.
5'9".
I mean, dope ass lyrics, great ass features, and message, content for sure. You know, like, that might be the best. It's top 5 album for me. And it just came out in February of this year. The allegory is that hard.
But, you know,
check it
remember,
out.
5'9" been around a while.
Yeah.
So
5'9" been around a while. I mean, but that's it's the hope. Because it ain't all bad. I mean, it's all bad.
Era.
But it ain't all
I'm not
bad.
saying it's all
It's
bad.
not all bad.
And I'm not saying it's all bad.
And it's never
Collectively,
been.
though. Because what's coming out of Buffalo
it's all
alone
bad.
is amazing. To me, it's amazing what that unit coming out of Buffalo is doing. And it's scattered throughout. But my point is, collectively right now, what's on the airwaves and getting play and what you're going to hear, like Vinny said, anytime I want to hear something by artists that I could appreciate, I gotta tune in to Rock the Bells. Like that's it. And outside of that, those artists aren't getting the play that they deserve or that recognition anymore. What I would like to see is a good mixture. I'm not saying we can't have a good beat. What I'm saying is I miss the lyrical content, and it shouldn't just be 1 or 2 or 3 artists out there collectively, because that's where it started. It was the lyrical content. Like, we're going to battle. I'm going to tell my story. You're going to tell your story. And at the end of the day, we're going to see who comes up with the best story. It was never about the beat. And now I feel like music has taken on. It's all about the beat. The beat can stay the same. Your lyrics can sort of change, but still have no relevancy. That's what I'm saying. What were you saying?
Well, like
D?
Walter,
I agree with what you said.
Those people are out there, like Royce 5'9", and you know, you look at Black Thought. I mean, Black Thought's crazy. But you look at people like that, and those people need to be like up in the I wouldn't say the limelight, but more emphasis needs to be put back on that. You know, that type of, you know, you had a little moment there with like Kendrick and J. Cole and people like that, where they were, you know, they were bridging a gap, but once they faded away, that was it. Like, they weren't up on the forefront anymore. Now it's the next, you know, quick single, and the quick single, you know, comes and goes, you know, like, you know, if it's this year's one track might be a banger with crazy lyrics, and then it fades away, and the next one that comes up that becomes a nationwide hit is Old Town Road or something. You know what I mean? Like that's it used to be that those main people that had that lyrical skill and were crazy good with it, those were the ones that were on top, and that not just we got to see as hip hop heads, but that the world got to see. It's those were our representative, were the hip hop representatives, and I think that's where we're kind of lacking a little bit is. And I don't think that's really the artist's fault, though. I think that has to do a lot with the media, with the the stations, the video. We don't have MTV
Social
no more.
media.
We don't have G.O.A.T Raps no more. We don't have any of those that would showcase those people,
Rap City,
and put them up in the forefront. Where it's just now this is put in front of your face. You're supposed to like it. The beat's good. That's it. But I would really like to see people like Royce 5'9" and everybody get worldwide attention. To what this is what hip hop is. This is the representative of hip hop that we would like to have. Representing the culture itself.
So I've been listening to everybody, and I agree with pieces. Now I think collectively you all are right. I would, to touch on Vinny's point about, cats, doing the YouTube thing and being discovered. It was actually, I think MySpace was when that really started. Cats was going on MySpace and it kind of evolved from there. And, I'm cool with that. I think things started probably in the late 90s, actually. Late 90s, when everything became about numbers. Like, it didn't matter anymore what somebody was doing as far as lyrical content, or message. It was just numbers. Who's selling the most, who's making the most, or who we thought was making the most, because the record labels was making the most. A lot of them cats still got took and they selling millions of records, but in order to get heard, you had to produce content that the labels could get behind and push. And they weren't going to get behind and push nothing that wasn't going to sell millions of dollars or millions of records. So what that did is it kind of took underground out of the entire equation. You know what I mean? Like when we used to get Clue tapes, and all them other cats that, we would hear dudes and be like, oh, who was that? And then, a few months later, boom, they got an album, right? Like, the underground stopped being where, rap music would tap talent from. So the underground just remained underground. Like all these cats we've talked about already were underground at one point, right? Nas just didn't come out with Illmatic. He was underground. He was mad underground before that, right? You know what I'm saying? KRS, mad underground. Jay-Z, mad underground. All these cats, were underground first. So we got away from that with the big hit. Right. And with the numbers, and I was around, I had the 50 Cent era. And that's not taking nothing from 50. Right. Because, all right, 50 changed the game at that point. It was real. But he definitely made artists and labels put numbers to the forefront because that was part of his whole deal. I'm selling all this. Right. And, things kind of moved that way. And the more money that got involved in rap, the more the label started to control the message. And that's where everything started sounding the same. You know, and I can remember like around that time, like early 2000s, you know, I'm like, damn, everybody sounds the same. There was like nothing different out there. So we was talking about, you had De La Soul, you had Tribe, you had people like Slick Rick, you know, you had NWA out there, you had all these different artists, you know, that had different styles, different ways of delivering, but it was all okay. Once you start putting so much money into the culture and the art form of rap, it took that away. It took the individuality away. You know, now you can only sound like this and sell records. Now you can only talk about this and sell records. The versatility was gone.
Like they felt like they found a formula for making money, and
Right.
they were
And
willing
so
to deviate from it.
I think everything became cookie cutter at that point. But all of you guys have valid points. I think we're all right. It's collectively all of these things that and I'm going to say we've, as part of that culture, allowed to happen. You know, we allowed it to happen. For whatever reasons. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We got old.
So-
That ain't our fault. It's Adderall fault too, because these kids ain't got no attention span. These 2.5-minute songs, man. Like, as soon as you turn the shit on, it's over.
This nigga
Fuck
said
these
it was
youngins,
Adderall
man.
fault.
Fuck 'em.
They all got ADHD.
That's a whole nother
Yeah,
topic in itself too, because
Yeah.
Yo, she's got to no.
There wasn't no such thing as
put my theory
ADHD.
out.
Your
Just
theory
need
is
your ass
funny as
beat.
hell.
what?
Your
The
theory
fact-
funny as hell.
So, okay, this is my theory, and other people probably have said it too, but we were the generation that sold crack. We were the hustlers. We have birthed generation.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, we have birthed generations of crack babies. It's a difference. And what I mean is the hustle is different. So we were the hardcore, you know, rap hip hop generation. The birth of what came after that is soft. So you can't take something soft and make it hard. We can't expect them to have or yearn for the same lyrical content or the same message that we had, because they've been tainted. They're products of their environment, and they just are.
They tainted with crack.
They tainted. Now they've also given birth. They've given birth to a different generation. Like if they were soft, this other generation, I don't even know what we call them, liquid. Like it just keeps getting less grittier, easier to digest, if we can say, kind of content. So we're the product of hustlers and street dealers, and that was the culture, and they're the product of what we sold, allegedly, and so forth and so forth. So it gets softer. Their tolerance is different. They're not the same. We have two children in two different generations. Their musical content and what they listen to, I was just like, I didn't understand it when the 30-year-olds music came out. The 21-year-olds music is like, what is going on? And everything in between, I'm just like, I don't get it. Make me understand. But then I had to realize, like, we've birthed different generations. Like the I guess the hardcoreness that we were, they'll never understand. And we've kind of made that easier for them too.
That's why,
go ahead.
That's why Buffalo's hot right now.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because what they're putting out is, you know, is the straight up, you know, you talk about product of your environment, and it's like they, you know, we know where they're from. We know where they grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So we listen to their music, and like, you know, like the whole team takes me back to Compton's Most Wanted. I used to back when, like, high school days, I was out of school. I was into some bad shit, And Compton's Most Wanted was my like soundtrack, you know, to to going out and doing dumb shit. And this is the first time in a long time that I've heard people like lyrics that are reflective of back then, like, you know, going back, telling the story of the hood, and you know how you know the environment itself, where, you know, and I think that's why people are grabbing on to what Buffalo's putting out right now, because Buffalo went back to, you know, we're still poor. The city's still poor.
Yes.
You know, like all these other places are glamorous and everything like that, where Buffalo's like, you know, we're gritty, you know, and if as long as they kept it that way when it came out, that's why I like them, because I'm like, you know, they kept it 100%. You know, I mean, you know, they may get, once they get their shine and you know really get going, they may change it up a little bit, but they started the way, you know, it started from
Right.
ground, from below ground up.
When I first heard them, that shit was nostalgic. You know what I mean? I'm like, I actually thought it was some back in the day shit that I missed. I'm like, yo, what? And then I was like, yo, so yeah, I fucks with them cats because that's their formula, right? And that's what worked for them. And they didn't settle. They didn't just settle, you know, for anybody who waved a dollar in front of them. You know, they went and got theirs the way they wanted to go and get it, and they made the labels seek them out. You know, so they got some mad hustle and grind with them, and it reflects through their music. So I think that's why the world is fucking with them right now, because they can feel the realness behind it. Like, what is music? It's just what feelings sound like, right? So if you feel it, if you really feel it, you fucks with it. And the way the world is feeling right now, at least I should say this country, the way this country feels right now, how did you not feel that? You know what I mean? So it's relatable, you know, in all different corners right now. So that's what I see coming out of the low right now. So I'm happy they getting their shine right now, for sure. Yeah.
So one last question, because we just tapping the surface on the culture. We talked about the music. We didn't even get into the art. We didn't even get into the fashion or, you know, the literature piece of it. Like, we just focused on music. So I do see a part 2 happening. But let me put this out there. If you had to pick one person that gives you hope in the music of hip hop today, like one person, who would that be? Like, give me something to tell me like the music hip hop is dead. I refuse to believe that. I know there are glimmers of hope within the music for this culture. So who gives you hope and that music can continue? Like the hip hop won't be lost.
I'll let the guest go first.
Fucking Griselda. It's Griselda. Like, fucking Benny the Butcher.
Butcher coming, nigga.
That dude scares me. No lie. Like, Conway is the reason they signed with M. But Benny, the first time I heard It Ain't Hard to Tell, I was like, fuck this. I'm never gonna write a rhyme again.
Yeah.
And then
Facts.
I got that same feeling when them boys went up in there and shut down Flex on Hot 97. I'm like, who the fuck is these kids? And, you know, then Benny the Butcher is nasty, yo. I mean, and coincidentally, they're on that Royce the 5'9" joint too, like all of them.
They everywhere right
so,
now.
I mean, but Benny is, yeah, he carrying not just the town on his back, but he carrying the whole game right now, as far as like somebody with some flow, somebody with some swag, somebody with some hustle, somebody got some monster lyrically. Benny puts them bars together. I love that kid, man. Yeah, it's Benny. For me, anyway.
Vinny, what about you?
I'm with Walter on that one. Benny blows me away. His presence is just it's so real and so raw and so Buffalo. When I first heard the Rex Ryan track that they put out, you couldn't tell me that I knew that video wasn't filmed here, but that song sounded like Buffalo. Like it just, I spent my childhood as a kid painting inside the grain elevators, and it sounded like the metal sounds inside the grain elevators and the street sound, the empty street sound, and it was just like as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting for. But them, and I gotta say, Big Pun's son, Chris Rivers, his son is doing some. I mean, he's got some serious lyrical skill for somebody that's young. I'm kind of hoping that J. Cole starts putting out a little bit more too, just because I dig his style and his mainly because being a Tribe Called Quest fan, he kind of resonates that. But yeah, Benny he's like the future of, when Jay-Z fades away, I think Benny will be in that position. That's bold, but I really think that he's starting the same way Jay did, and he's coming up the same way Jay did. And I think he's going to be eventually, he's smart enough to be just as big.
Wow. Steve, what about you?
Shit, you think I'm not going to contest anything they just said. Yo, yeah, I fucks with J. Cole too. I do. I do fucks with J. Cole a lot. I like him. Kendrick, I like him. That motherfucking Griselda. I mean, what you know about taking bags cross state on a half a tank of gas. Listen, man, it brings back so many feelings for me. Like, it brings back that swag, that hustle, that fire. Like, nigga, I'm gonna get it. Whether you want me to or not, this is mine. We done kicked down the door. We here now. That's what I feel like when I hear them dudes on tracks. I do think they are the future, I guess, if you want to put it like that, like they are the vehicle that can get, the culture musically, back into about us, about what's going on with us, what's going on in our neighborhoods. But that dude, Benny, his cadence, I love his cadence on the mic, on his flows, man. He is definitely something special. But that whole crew
got that flow.
is doing a thing. But yeah, if you're gonna make me say one MC, I'm gonna go with Benny.
Okay. Well, there you have it, Green Room. Light discussion, heavy. We just tapped the surface on hip hop. Like I said, we talked about music. We did not get into the art, the fashion, the literature. We
need to talk about that fashion shit too.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the fashion.
I ain't fucking with none of that
but we're
shit right
just getting started. So I gotta thank my boy Vinny for blessing us and joining the conversation.
Blanco.
Again, if you haven't and you don't know who he is, we're putting up his information on our webpage, urbangreenroom.net. Check it out. Look at his art. You'll be blown away. Support, by all means, and keep that part of the culture alive and tap into it, because around the country, especially in Buffalo, I know Vinny is doing his thing and bringing it to life and making it so that it's not left behind. We don't want the culture to die. So I definitely appreciate everything that he's doing to keep that alive. As always, thanks, Walt, for joining us for another great podcast conversation. And like I said, it's just the beginning. So you got to hit us up, subscribe, like, leave a comment. Question of the night: who's your favorite artist in hip hop and R&B rap right now? Like, did you agree with anything that we said? We want to know about it. So by all means, join the conversation at theurbangreenroom.net. For now, I'm your girl, AA.
Yo, I'm your man, D. Lewis.
And we are out.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning into the Urban Green Room Podcast. Let's keep the conversation going. Hit us up at urbangreenroom.net or on our Facebook or IG page.
I always follow them.
Tell us what you think about today's conversation. If there's a topic you want to discuss, let us know. And by all means, tell a friend. The Urban Green Room Podcast, giving you something to talk about. Until next time, we out.